satisfied, but nobody knows about it, but you've done it because you needed that closure. And it happens. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul had done, how he had cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? Look at the key words. Wherefore then layest thou a snare? A snare is like a trap for my life. Now watch this. This deceit is brought about through innocence. The enemy is using the need for you to have your closure and speak to your loved one, your brokenness, but is allowing you to be deceived and say, you know what, this is okay. This is just to mend you, to get you feeling a little bit better. As long as you know you spoke to them, you are okay. You can face life after that. And these kind of soft words, understanding words, are what we speak about, a snare for your life. The enemy comes as an angel of light. So to you, the advice you're receiving may be comforting, may be necessary for you to hear. But remember, that light is not the light of God. And Saul swore to her by the Lord, verse 10, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. And look at this. Saul is saying, the Lord liveth. Surely, see, it says, and Saul swears to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth. The Lord liveth. Jesus conquered death. That is all where you should stand. Your desire, Saul, desire should be, the Lord liveth and nothing else. As long as he liveth, he sits on the throne, he is in control. There is nothing further that I need to do but trust him. And that is what faith is all about. Forsaking all, F-A-I-T-H, forsaking all, I trust him. Even in this brokenness, I trust him. Yet our concern is still for matters relating to the dead. We're saying in 101, and our desire is the Lord liveth. Yet, because of this, we are more concerned with matters of the dead. There is a need to twist the situation to say God spoke to you in a dream, or find some means of justifying that God approves. You look for these loopholes to justify that you need to do this, because your emotional state is leaning towards that more than your spiritual side knocking onto you softly and saying, this is not what God allows. Verse 11, Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. Saul chose to get advice from the dead than the living. Watch this. He rather be impatient with getting advice from the dead than to wait for a living God to speak to him. Because he was impatient, his fear gripped him, because he was more concerned about the army that he was going to battle. And so he wanted to consult the dead rather than wait for the living God. And verse 12, And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. Now, our focus here is, why hast thou deceived me? Now, these words are common. Typical practice of the devil, to step back. That's what happened. And after he has made you indulge in the sinful things. What is this? The practice of the accuser of the brethren. After you've done this, suddenly, no, it wasn't me. They wanted to do it. Oh God, see this person. They went and did this here. Huh? And then when you're going to God in prayer, he comes to you and tell you, but hey, you coming and praying here, but quietly you went in secret and you spoke to the dead. So he uses the same thing against you. But he was the same person that came before all this happening and pushed you towards it. And now it becomes an heavy burden, spiritual burden upon your life. And then what happens? He suddenly uses this and says, hey, God is not going to forgive you for what you did. You can't worship God properly because see what you did. You consulted with demons and you thought it was your loved ones. And you're a Christian and you're a child of God. And God doesn't allow this. This is abomination. But you did it. So verse 13, And the king said unto her, Be not afraid. What sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. The woman was shocked at this appearance, because the root word signifies the use of ventriloquism. Now what I was saying, necromancer, that's the root word. ventriloquism, where they used to throw their voice, as I mentioned earlier. So she was very, very surprised. She was stepped back. Why? Because like I said, God could have allowed this, and on one hand, the other hand, it is a demon. And in all cases, it is a demon. In this particular instance, God allowed a certain thing. He's God. That's what makes him God. The Bible says his ways are higher than our ways. So if the woman used ventriloquism, then she wasn't used to this appearance. That is why she was shocked and she just stepped back, because a demon really appeared to her. Because for so long she's used to throwing a voice and lying to the person and saying the person really appeared. But in this case, she actually saw something, and so she stepped back in fear. Now, right in this instance here, you can see the three types of sin areas that appears. Firstly, for what sawest thou? That is the lust of the eyes. And this is the same thing that appeared in the Garden of Eden. She saw the fruit, the lust of the eyes. There is a need for an answer. There is an emotional need. This emotional need is what? Lust of the flesh. And same thing in the Garden of Eden. Look at the fruit. It looks delicious. It's nice. The flesh wanted it. The lust of the flesh. And then what? Seeking elsewhere. In this particular instance, seeking elsewhere when God is silent. That's what Saul did. He sought elsewhere when God was silent. That is the pride of life, saying, God, don't worry. I'll take care of my own life. I can handle it. You quiet? Be quiet. I can take care of my own life. God, you quiet? Don't worry. I'm grieving. I can take care of my own life and get my closure. That's what happens. And the same thing happened in Garden of Eden. The pride of life. What was the words? And you will be like God. So it's the same principle, same areas of sin that the enemy uses. Verse 14. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old